In other news, amid regulatory issues, Huawei is forging ahead with its expansion plans, opening very recently its first physical retail store in the UK. Here in the Philippines, the Chinese tech giant is also seeing great opportunities in cloud. We had a chat with Huawei executive Tech Guan Neo and FinTech Association of the Philippines, Amor Maclang, about how the invisible infrastructure will power FinTech 2.0. Everybody's saying this pandemic has accelerated digital transformation. Give us a read on how much uptick you saw in the cloud business. I mean, did you unlock new markets that would have otherwise stayed offline?
Yes. In terms of cloud subscriptions and uptakes, right, comparing with the other markets leaders in which has been around longer than us, we have already achieved 4 times more revenue compared to the last year in Asia Pacific. And every month we are seeing about 10 to 15% growth. In China, our cloud market share is now top 2 position, and our target is to be one of the top 5 cloud service provider in the world. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic's lockdown has forced everybody to go online. This has speed up the business in order for their business to survive, right? So people working from home has pushed for the needs for things like internet video conferencing, such as Zoom meeting. Students taking lessons from home has also created great demands for online learning software. So cloud-based meeting like Zoom, Huawei Meeting, and online learning software like YouLearning has gained significant traction this year. Of course, don't forgetting some of the COVID-19 pandemic issues that we have also built almost 19 different to-be use cases so far this year to help in fight of the COVID-19. So these are some of the significant, what I call it, markets that has been unlocked that previously, may stay offline. Thank you.
Neo, just very quickly, could you give us a sense of how big the Philippine market is, how big your operations are here in the Philippines, and are there plans to grow the team?
Yes, in Philippines, if you really look at our overall operation, Huawei, we have 3 business units, right? We have a carrier business unit, we have the enterprise business unit, and now we have the cloud and AI business unit. So all in all, we are looking at a few thousand people in the Philippines. And for cloud, of course, we have currently is still less than about 100 people, right, running in this cloud business unit.
Amor, fresh from the World FinTech Festival, are you getting confident that we're getting close to grooming the Philippines' first unicorn?
Oh my goodness. I always get asked that, Mimi. Most technologists come to us and say, Amor, can you make me a unicorn? And the first thing I say is, let me buy you a costume. I think they keep on forgetting that the real objective of technology is to really help the country. And on that note, I am very, very pleased to tell you that the shift in power for technology has definitely moved from the West to Asia, and the Philippines is playing a very important role there. Many of the fintech innovations in the world really started with the Philippines. I mean, did you know that the legendary M-Pesa of Kenya actually came to the Philippines to learn from both the BSP and also GCash? And the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is one of the first to initiate open banking, digital-only banking, and a lot of that is being enabled by the the shift to the cloud, which is really the invisible infrastructure that we all need to get on, right? You know that the Philippine government has a cloud-first policy, and our hope is to get more and more of the national line agencies into the cloud so that eventually mass adoption can happen.
It's so hard to visualize us as leading the cloud technology when internet is so choppy. I was just in a Zoom meeting, I got cut 3 times.
You know what? And that's the thing we have to understand about digital transformation. The infrastructure, there are several aspects to the infrastructure. We all talk about the importance of the national ID system, which is something that's coming along. We talk about the importance of getting everyone on the cloud. Infra is important, but the mindset shift is another thing that we all have to collectively work towards. And exclusion does not just happen at the bottom, it also happens at the top. Because we need to ensure that even the top corporations really are on board this boat. And unfortunately, it's not yet there. So there's a lot of advocacy needed.
You mentioned earlier the central bank among the first to adopt an open banking policy. The BSP has just released its digital banking framework. Are you happy with it at its current version? If you think there are ways that we can make it even better?
You know what? As with technology, we never we don't stop just because we think it's perfect, right? It's always going to be a work in progress. What's important, especially with we recently had a signing, industry sandbox signing for fintech, and it's aptly called the test and learn approach, because it's never going to be perfect the first time. But what's important is we get right on it and learn, and if there are failures, that we fail fast, right? We're obviously guided by the precedents that are happening in the region, like in Singapore. The Monetary Authority of Singapore is one of the most progressive in the world. And with cross-border collaboration with them, we're very hopeful. I mean, a lot of the digital banks are already coming in, like Tonic, Una Bank, right? And the legacy banks are also doing their own pivot.
Just going back to that digital framework, digital banking framework, there's a specific provision there for a $1 million minimum capital requirement. Do you think that's a good number to start with?
You know what? I might not be the best person to discuss that, Mimi, but what I can definitely tell you is that these caps are put in place for a reason. So while there's an almost liberal approach to the banking, the open banking framework, we need to make sure that handrails are in place to ensure that only the right cast of characters are allowed in the sandbox, if you know what I mean.
I like that. Only the right cast of characters are allowed. Neo, I wanted to go back to you. Amor has been talking about the future. So how will FinTech 2.0 look like? Could you give us a sense of what exciting, mind-blowing, cutting-edge innovations you've got lined up for 2021?
Yes. So virtual bank has been a hot topic in Hong Kong and Singapore today, right? Singapore just awarded the digital bank license to a few companies like Grab, Singtel's Consortium, C Groups, and Ants Finance. We can expect this to be a hot topic, to be discussed in Philippines in the coming year. And we see adoptions of AI in fintech services to fight for financial flaws as well as cyber threats. Using AI to improve bank efficiency and also improve customer experience. Some examples like immersion AI and some like software RPA. RPA here we referring to robotic process automate tasks using usually performed by human, right?
I want to go to Amor. Hi, Amor.
Hi, Mimi.
Okay, Amor, I'm sure you've had interesting conversations at the World FinTech Festival recently just concluded. How big is the fintech space today, and where do you see it going in the next year and over the next 3 years? Are you anticipating new trends?
We're really overwhelmed at the kind of support that we have received during the recently concluded World FinTech Festival. A lot of it is kudos really to the Monetary Authority of Singapore for their pioneering efforts in shining the light on Asia. Now, with regards to the Philippines, the one thing that we noticed is that it's not just the fintechs that are in fintech, but we're seeing that a lot of the conglomerates are going into this space as well. For example, we have GCash and Mint with their enormous amount of data going into credit scoring, dispensing loans, and also delivering insurance. So you would see that many of the legacy companies in the country are seeing and learning actually from the fintechs and going into their own space working closely with them, co-opetition, working with competition is going to be a very important trend. Realizing that you can't just build things on your own, but rather the real success here is actually to work with others. So co-opetition, getting everyone on the cloud is going to be very, very critical towards our collective success. Mass adoption still continues to elude us, and the space is going to be even bigger because of the new investments going into the space within the Philippines and also from outside the country.
Neo, just one final question for you about innovation. I mean, tech giants have been under scrutiny in the past months. The crackdown on not just Huawei, for example, but even Facebook is now being asked to be broken apart. Have these regulatory issues stalled or derailed some of your innovation work?
Well, I mean, every company is different. So we have internal guidelines. Like at Huawei, we actually comply with the local regulation and law, in conducting our business. Now, in R&D, we have almost like 80,000, 90,000 employees are actually focused in doing R&D today. And then our innovation spending is almost 15% of our revenue. So last year, our revenue is about 123 billion. So you can expect we actually spend about 15 to 20 billions in R&D, and we will continue to do that, right? So I think the outer business landscape can be choppy, but internally, we are driving our own innovation in the market itself. So really, you can see that we are moving to 5G. We are the top now. And then we are moving to AI, where we build our own full stack, all scenarios, AI chipsets, as well as the partner ecosystem to help us, to bring a lot of these innovation solutions to the market. So I guess the journey will continue, and of course there's a lot of external factors that may impact how we conduct our business. But I guess those are the day-to-day issues that we.
On that note, Neo Amor, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck. 2021 certainly looks very exciting. And that is it for Market Edge. I'm Michelle Long. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Stay with ANC.
The natural beauty of the Philippines is known all over the world.